Good morning, Facebook friends. Helen Archontou here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. So happy to have some time with you today. As you know, YWTV is all about educating and inspiring. And Thursdays, we dedicate our show to Share the Mic Now, which is all about amplifying the voices of Black women in our community. And today, we have a former YWCA Northern New Jersey twin honoree with us. So we're very happy to have Ms. Angela Barker with us. And I'm excited to tell you a little bit about her and for you to meet her and talk with her. She is a divorce, matrimonial, and family lawyer. Family lawyers are legal professionals that specialize in matters to do with family law. And Angela's commitment to her clients really goes above and beyond what's expected. She advocates strongly for their well-being, not only of the parents that she represents, but she always keeps the children that are involved in the custody cases in her mind as well. She has a very impressive professional background. She assists clients as they transition through the various stages of their life. And I would say some of the most difficult stages of their life too, for sure. She drafts prenuptial agreements. She, in anticipation of divorce of marriage. She gives advice and counsel to clients considering separation or divorce. And if necessary, she represents the clients in divorce negotiations and court proceedings. She has a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from City University of New York, Baruch College, and a Master's of Education degree from City of New York, Baruch College, and a Juris Doctorate from Columbia Law School.
Yes.
She's got a lot on her wall. I see some of it back there, right behind her. She worked in corporate litigation as a corporate litigation associate for 9 years. And during that time, she also worked on pro bono family, divorce, and matrimonial matters through various nonprofit associations, including In Motion and Sanctuary for Families. She left the corporate law world and worked for legal services as a divorce, matrimonial, and family staff and senior staff attorney. And 15 years ago, she left that all behind and she started her own practice limited to divorce, matrimonial, and family law. She is a member of several bar associations, including the Caribbean American Bar Association, the New York City Bar, the Brooklyn Bar Association, the New Jersey State Bar Association, the New York State Bar Association, the Bergen County Bar Association, the Association of Black Women Attorneys, and the American Bar Association. We are so happy to have you with us this morning, Angela. Welcome.
Thank you so very much. So happy to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, I've had the opportunity, obviously, you being a twin honoree, to spend some time with you over the years. And I'm one of the things that I am always so impressed about you is you, I think, represent, all facets of, being such a, as I always think, you slay. You are just one tough lady, but there is such a warmth and loveliness about you that, you really are that whole package.
Thank you so much.
And I really respect that about you. So tell us, I mean, you got into a very, you kind of went on this journey in terms of your law practice, and then you ended up in this very specific type of law. How did that all happen?
Well, it all happened because, my father, who is now deceased 12 years, was a family lawyer. And I really got exposed to family law and divorce law through him. And he was a family and civil rights and criminal lawyer. And I really enjoy the psychology of family law. So when I went to law school, you have your first year classes, and they're basic classes that everyone has to take. But my second year, I took family law, and that was really the class that I really enjoyed the most. I thought it was fascinating. And then I took the family law clinics, which is basically you go out as a law student into the field and you work with people. And I enjoyed that. When I decided to go to the firms, I went to, really and truly at Columbia, one of the most favorite paths is going to the big law firms. Mm-hmm. And when I went to the big law firms, we had an opportunity to do pro bono work. And I did pro bono work in family law, and that kind of solidified it was an area of the law that I really enjoyed and loved. I have a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in education, and I found that I could integrate those areas of my interest into family law, and it all mesh and they all gel. And every day I use what I learned in my psychology classes, my education classes, and in my law classes. And I find that it's a fascinating area of law, and it's never boring. There's something new every day.
Yeah, I can only imagine that, working with couples from before they're thinking about getting married and kind of helping them with their prenups and kind of setting them up for that all the way to dissolving their marriages. You must have seen some amazing stories, over the course of your career to date.
Yes, most definitely. I've seen, there's a saying that criminal law, when you're a criminal lawyer, you're seeing people at their best because they want to avoid jail. And when you're a family lawyer, you're seeing people at their worst. And that is true in a lot of cases. But I try my very best because, I've never wanted to be the hired gun. I'm not the type of lawyer that will do something because my client tells me to do something. I really believe I really believe that I am an attorney and counselor at law. So my job is to counsel the client. So the client doesn't lead me to do anything. I work with the client and I tell the client what is the best course of action. So that's the way I approach family law. So I look for clients who appreciate that about me and who are reasonable. And most of my clients are not acting in their worst way. They're actually acting in their best way. And most of them just want to be divorced in the most financially, and amicable way possible. Now, I can't say that always for the other side, but then, we have to work with them. But I enjoy it. It's fascinating. And most days, I really feel like I've done good in the world.
And it must be kind of an added complexity of dealing with children, in the mix of, this, complex at times, like legal matter.
Right. And that's where my education degree comes in, because then I get to counsel the client regarding what that what they do really affects the children. So if you're talking bad about the mother or the father, that affects the children in a fundamental way. What parents do in the home is more impactful than anything that they will encounter outside of the home. So yes, I try to always keep the children in mind. I have two children myself, a 20-year-old and a 15-year-old, and I think about what I would want for my children. Now, I also try very best not to put my beliefs and my what I hold dear on other people. We're all different. We all have different needs and wants and different beliefs. But, I try to keep the best interests of the children at heart. That's fundamental. That is unchanging. So maybe on the surface, you have a family that believe differently, but at bottom, we all want the best for our children. And that means for them to grow up into strong, independent adults. Or if they can't reach independence because of special needs, to be as self-fulfilling and self-actualizing as possible. So that's what I work towards.
Well, I know your clients are very lucky to have you as an advocate and almost at times a guardian ad litem for the child in terms of such a complex process. So I've myself in my career worked a little bit with the legal system, and so I know that it's really one of those systems that is obviously very known to be fraught with systemic racism and challenges built into it. And I'm interested in hearing a little bit about your experiences with what you've witnessed over the course of your career and how you've navigated it and how you've helped your clients navigate it.
Yes, it's systemic racism, systemic classism, and systemic sexism. Definitely. So, in talking about me as a woman of color, a Black woman, a woman from the West Indies, because I'm an immigrant also, and a woman that didn't grow up wealthy or upper middle class. I've encountered it. I think one of my first encounters of racism was when I was at a summer associate at a law firm. And it didn't happen to me, but it happened to a fellow associate, summer associate. A summer associate is someone who worked their summer between their second year of law school and their third year of law school. And while we were there at this law firm, one of the associates was taken off a deal because the partner had a meeting with the client, and the associate was invited to come to the meeting, to take notes. And the client saw this Black man and told the partner that he didn't want Black people working on his deal. And the partner took him off. And the associate told us this. And I have always been, very outspoken. I told that associate, let's go to our law school. We are at Columbia Law School, one of the top law schools, and tell them what has happened and tell them to stop sending associates to this firm until this is fixed. And the associate said, no, leave it alone. He felt that the client had a right to choose who he wanted on the deal. And I felt that, forget the client, the firm had a right to fire the client who was racist. That was my first encounter of racism. And I didn't do anything because it wasn't my fight. It was the associate's fight. But that was my first encounter with racism. My first encounter with sexism is when I was working at my first law firm. And it was late at night, and the partner came to my office and saw a picture of my son. My last year of law school, I had a baby, and he asked me, who was that? And I said, well, that is my child. That's my baby. I think he was like 6 months or something. He's 6 months old. And he told me, he didn't say, very dryly, when my wife and I had a baby, she stayed home. He told me that. And I just looked at him because I was like, I'm not your wife. Do I even look like your wife? We're not even having this conversation. Right. So he felt that, that women with children should stay home. So those were my encounters with racism and sexism for me. For my clients, the way I encounter it is, judges have these biases too. So for example, I know that if I'm representing a Black man and the society says that, well, looking at society, Black men are often the first hired, the last hired, and the first fired. So sometimes you're dealing with a lot of unemployment with Black men. And judges don't understand that, right? So a judge will see, I would have a client, a Black man who has to pay child support. And I'm saying, judge, my client is unemployed. This serial unemployment that is so prevalent with Black men. And, the judge, who has his job, who's getting his, $100,000, $200,000 a year by the system, often a white man, is threatening my client to put my client in jail because he can't pay child support because he believed that he is serially unemployed and is not working hard enough to get a job. When I know from my experience that it's very hard for Black men, especially over the age of 40, to keep a job for any length of time because of the systemic racism in this country. With the sexism I see is when I'm representing my professional women as clients and they have their job and they're trying to get full custody of their children. And the judges think that, that maybe she should stay home or not work just as hard or not work 12-hour days. So whatever you see in the society is happening in court. And then the classism comes in, because I remember, I will never forget, I was doing in family law, you have to fill out a case information statement. And my client, who was a poor woman, filled it out, and she had a set amount for groceries. And the judge looked at it and said, this amount for groceries is wrong. I just know it's wrong. For example, milk is not X amount. And I said, Judge, when was the last time you went into a supermarket to buy milk? He says, well, I don't buy milk. My wife shops. I said, well, you have no clue what a basket of groceries, really costs in the New York City. It's very expensive. So those are the things that I have to navigate and I have to fight for. And and that's my job, to represent my clients and to point out to the judges how wrong they are. And I have no trouble doing that as I've gotten older. I'm 20 years in. I'm comfortable in really representing my clients and being an advocate for them.
How do you, I know how busy your professional career is, and I know, how, many cases you've had over the course of it. I can only imagine, just because I know how busy you are. How do you manage dealing with these, issues around systemic racism and classism and sexism over and over again? I mean, I would imagine that that could just erode, your energy and your push, because again, I'm a white woman, so I'm hearing these stories, that you're sharing, and obviously they probably would be a different experience, right? If you were representing white clients, but how do you keep yourself going when you're hearing these, these statements over and over again that are so appalling?
Well, I would have to say that, I come from a very strong family. My mother is a very strong woman. And my mother had me as a teenager. So I kind of like grew up with my mom. And my dad had me while he was a teenager, and I grew up with my dad. And if anyone knew my mom and my dad, they are fascinatingly strong people. I remember one time my mother was working on her master's degree, and she was encountering some racism. And I remember her saying, can I curse on YMCA?
No, on the YW page,
Yeah, my mother said this is some
bleep, 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 bleep. Yeah.
blink, blink, blink woman is not going to stop me from getting my degree. And that's where I came from. We came from strong stock. So some judge, who hasn't had my experience, or some partner in a law firm or whatever, it kind of like rolls off your back. And my father had a saying, someone messes with you, curse word, you mess right back. And that's where I came from. So I am not afraid of dealing with it head on, because I look at my family and they've encountered more than I've ever could imagine, so what I'm doing is peanuts to them. So that's the way I encounter it. I don't see what I'm doing to be nearly as hard as to what my parents went through or what my grandparents went through. So that's the way I see it. That's the way I view it.
And, also, I mean, obviously you've got such a strong legal mind. When you look at these systems and you think about, well, how can they be fixed? What can we do to create a new world that racism doesn't exist and there is equality for all? In your legal world, what are some of the things that you think are, efforts or strategies or ways to address that?
Well, I think it's really a commitment to you as an attorney to advocate, and knowing that you may not get there like Martin Luther King there, but maybe your your children will get there. I'll talk about my life. Shirley Chisholm, she was the first Black woman to seriously run for president of the United States. And I learned about Shirley Chisholm as a child, and I was fascinated with her because she, her parents were immigrants from Barbados. And as you can see, I went to CUNY, and I went to CUNY under a program called SEEK, Search for Elevation something. I don't know the acronym anymore, but it was a program to get inner city children into the city university, who at that time, when she and others created the SEEK program, was Lily White. The Black and brown children of New York City was ignored. And that's how you deal with systemic racism, is through education. So she worked hard to get us into the City University of New York system. And through this program, SEEK, where we were given extra classes to build our confidence and to help us understand who we were, so that we could go out in the world and affect change. And I think that's how you deal with systemic racism, is through education. Educating children, Black and brown children, as to their history, as to where they come from, so that when they encounter something, they can deal with it head on and not feel that they have to change, but to try to get the system to change to accommodate others. And that's the only way that you can deal with it, is deal with it every day head on. And that's what I try to do. Sometimes it's exhausting, but as I say, I stand on the shoulders of my ancestors who have been through much more than I will ever go through in my life. So it's not something that's insurmountable. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I could hear that what you're saying is not only for your clients and your work, but for your sons as well. You know, that this is how you've raised them to be able to navigate the world. And I know our viewers you're resonating with our viewers. They're agreeing that a strong family foundation is definitely necessary to navigate racism and all the isms, and a level of disconnection is why diversity always matters. I mean, you're resonating with our viewers in terms of your comments as well, Angela.
Right. I discuss with my sons. I know that there are some people that some classmates of, well, not classmates, but some of my peers in the middle class and the upper middle class Black society, who try to shield their children from racism. And I never tried to shield mine. I tried to teach my boys about it. I remember when my son was deciding to go to high school, and he wanted to go to the local high school, and I wanted to put him in another school, a private school, but he said, no, I want to be with my friends. I want to be comfortable. And I wanted to go to this high school. And there in 11th grade, I thought that, he needed some more introduction to Black history. I just felt it in conversations we had. And I remember I went to the school and I told his guidance counselor, I said, do you have any classes here on Black history and Black culture? Because I think my son needs to take one. And he said, yeah, Mrs. Myers teaches Black history. And I put him in that class because I thought that he's going out in the world and he needs to understand his culture. I'm a West Indian, I'm from Barbados, but his dad is an American, and he needs to know from whence he came. Mm-hmm. And I do that with my other son also. I think it's necessary, and they're very strong Black boys. My older one, strong Black man. He is currently in college, and he sent me an email one day, a Facebook post one day, where his college was going to have a police, a private police or security firm, giving extra security for the grounds. Now, my son goes to school in a neighborhood that is, Black. This is surrounded by a Black neighborhood. And he went and testified against this private police force, saying that, they're going to arrest me. It's going to impact me as a Black man. And that's one of my proudest days in that of my son, to see that he goes out there and advocate for him and for his other Black men going to the campus. So, those are, every day they surprise me. They're very grounded in who they are. They understand their privilege of having parents to be attorneys, and they don't take that for granted. And they're very strong, and they know from whence they came. And I think that they will be successful in whatever they do because of that grounding.
Well, I so appreciate all you've shared, and you raised the issue, and one of our viewers is reinforcing it as well, how Black history education is so important in our schools. And we know that when we talk about advocacy and trying to really impact racism, that is something that we need to get across the board in all of our education systems, in this country. And one of the efforts that we collectively need to work on, for sure, because we all need to learn it.
Definitely.
We all need to learn it, for sure. Angela, I'm so grateful that you joined us today, and I appreciate your openness to sharing and telling us so much about your work and your family, and how you navigate this world. I thought it would be nice to close a little bit to share how are you managing and keeping yourself strong during this time as we're living like this.
Yeah, it's a rough time. It's a rough time. I like the holiday season. By now I would have attended a few parties. I really like, getting together with family for Thanksgiving. My mother and grandmother and great grandmother were great hostess and loved to host the family. I would have family flying in from England, some coming from Barbados. We have a big Thanksgiving gathering, and this year that's not going to happen. It's going to be just, the people living in the home. So what I'm doing is trying to concentrate on me, trying to lose a few pounds. So I have a trainer that comes to me 3 times a week and try to get me in shape. I'm drinking my water, trying to, drink.
We both shared this before that we were doing this.
Trying to drink water, trying to read books and just do my work. And trying to hoping to get out of COVID better than I was going back in. But it is a hard, trying time. My children are attending online school, so their social interactions are limited. But again, this is nothing that. What we're going through is nothing to what most of the world is going through right now. We live in the most advanced country in the world, the richest country in the world. Staying at home is nothing compared to what most of the world is going through right now.
Wow. Thank you for sharing your the little inspiration there. And I have to tell everyone, this lady curates the most beautiful flowers. She is a tremendous gardener of beautiful flowers, and it always brightens my day to see what you're doing in your garden.
Thank you so much. Gardening is over until April, so I have to tend to my plants.
Indoors for now.
Indoors, right.
Well, thank you again, Angela. And for all of our viewers, thank you for those that have joined us today. And for those who have joined us, if we use this platform and created it because we do want to share the mic, and we hope that you share the mic as well. Please, if there's someone in your life that you wish had heard Angela and her story and what she had to share, it's very easy to share the message with them. You can put this link in Facebook Messenger and send it out. You can copy the link and send it on an email, or you can put it onto your Facebook page. And we do encourage you to do that because we believe that education is a path to eliminating racism, which is exactly why the YWCA of Northern New Jersey is so committed to conversations like these to support that. And for our viewers, we hope you can also join us tomorrow. We will be having another wonderful show. I'll be interviewing Teaneck International Film Festival's Executive Director, Jeremy Lentz, who I know is
Yes.
of ours as well,
Right.
as well as film director Lucina Fisher. And as I've shared all this week, we are in the midst of the Teaneck International Film Festival, which is a very special film festival. It is one with a social justice conscience. And it's happening right now. You can buy a ticket for a film or get the pass for the remainder of the films. And there's so many important films that are still happening. So we do encourage you to check it out. The YWCA of Northern New Jersey is co-sponsoring a film with National Coalition of 100 Black Women and other important organizations on Tuesday night, which is Belly of the Beast, a documentary with a talk back being hosted afterwards. And the focus of that documentary, which is a very, very important conversation, is about medical racism and reproductive justice, and just how difficult and challenging it can be to create and change policy. So we hope that you join us for that and all the other films that TIFF is doing. And we also hope that tomorrow night, for the girls in your world that are ages 9 to 14, that you have them join our Girls Empowerment Network, Jen on the Go, from 7 to 8:30. Tiffany Kerr of Chic Situations will be hosting a virtual etiquette party. So our littler ladies than us can be manners ready for the holiday season, and parents and their caregivers are invited to join as well. And please, if you have not signed up for the 21-day challenge, we encourage you to do so. We have the link in our comments here. It's an important opportunity for more education, as we've talked about, to learn about race, power, privilege, and ways that you can become a social justice warrior. Wherever you are in the world, there's work to be done and a way to do it. So we want to encourage you to do that. Look, we know the holidays are coming and people are getting ready. Please be safe, please stay masked, and please adhere to the guidelines out there. We obviously there's been so much tragedy and sadness and loss through this time. We, are hearing finally about some vaccines and some potential to get through. We need to stay the course and get there. So we do holidays, like Angela was saying, will look a little different this year, but better that they look different. And then next year we can be together the way that we should be. So thank you, Angela, again. Thank you to all of our viewers. If you enjoy YWTV and would like to support our effort, please make a donation to YWCA at .org, YWCANNJ.org at our website, or you can text equality to 707070. We're always grateful for our viewers. We're always grateful for your support, and we look forward to bringing you more shows. Everyone have a great day. Angela, thank you so much.